Women's Month has been extra special with Bride Rock because we have just been celebrating female South African sporting icons and hearing their journeys, unbelievable journeys, just women that are just so inspirational and women that have undergone so much change in their lives and how it is that they've tackled it, how they've come out stronger and bigger for it. And I think that we've saved most certainly the best for last. Today, we've got the wonderful pleasure of hearing the journey and the story of a former professional hockey player, and that is Sanani Mangisa. Sanani, happy Women's Month. So good to have you with us.
Happy Women's Month, Carol, and happy Women's Month to all the women out there.
And it's an extra special month for us too, because my birthday is in August and so is yours.
Yes, recently celebrated my birthday, a young 34, marked it by running 34Ks.
So young, but you have done so much. And I want you to take us back. Hockey, I mean, where did that come from? How did that start?
So, you go to school and you have to play a summer sport, and the winter sport, there was hockey. There was actually no netball, so you didn't have much of an option. So I got thrown into this thing. I started up front as a striker and found myself working my way backwards to the goals because no one else would be goalkeeper. And I really just wanted to get the session going for us to start playing the sport because I absolutely loved any time we were playing outside. So that's how I started hockey, but that's actually how I got into the goal as well, because I just put my hand up and I was like, I'll do it.
Oh, yeah, you were a goalkeeper by default. And you really thrived in that position, yes?
I think from a young age, I was fearless, which is, one of the attributes you have to have in the goals is that you just have to be fearless. I didn't know the technical bits about it. I learned those over the years, but I think being fearless in the goals put me in good stead. And I just was, raging to the ball, did everything to keep it out. And that's what you need as a goalkeeper, is a little bit of that fearlessness.
So a girl from Mthatha who was just willing to take part in as much as she possibly could with this adventurous spirit. Did you have the support from the family to say, you know what, go ahead, you do it. If you feel that this is what you enjoy doing and you want to do it.
Mom was always at the games she could attend. She came to the tournaments that she could, the World Cups, the Commonwealth Games, and the Olympics that she could. So very supportive, but she needed to know that I had a plan and I thought it through and how I was going to make a living outside of hockey.
You've been all over the world, well-traveled, Olympic Games, Commonwealth Games, you name it. I've taken part in so much. What do you think was the main contributing factor to your successes?
It was just constantly wanting to learn every day, wanting to better myself, because I knew in the context of Pretoria Club hockey I was good, but how good was I in the national team? How good was I for the national team as well to be able to keep us into the games and make those sides?
One of the challenges that a lot of athletes face, and it certainly was for you, when you get a major injury, just not being able to perform, not being able to compete, having to sit back and to prioritize your rehabilitation and even start possibly thinking like you were that, this is the end of your career. Tell us about that and just how tough that was.
So yeah, that was probably the toughest point of my hockey career, is that I had an Achilles injury and I looked at it and I said, there's one of two things. I would either make the team for the 2014 World Cup or I wouldn't. And the second one, I actually didn't even put in my brain. I had a timeline. I knew the goal I had to work towards.
In the case where, as you said, you set yourself those goals. Okay, by this time I should start walking. By this time, this is how far I should be with my rehabilitation. In an instance where you don't reach those particular milestones, I mean, what would you say, what's that thing that's going to encourage other athletes to just keep pushing through, or, that's going to encourage them to be able to take the setbacks as well?
For me, it was just understanding that, okay, cool. If I reach at any point and I haven't reached that milestone, it's just a temporary setback. It's not the end. So, you have these moments in your career where slight temporary setback to what you had envisioned, but how then do you go back to the drawing board, okay, and go, all right, that didn't work out, but here's my new goal in that space.
Yeah, and having that positive mindset as well and embracing the change for you was just so important because, yes, you said it was the most difficult time in your professional career or the most difficult times in your life and one of your biggest challenges. But you chose to look at it in a positive light, saying that it really built your character.
Yeah, very character building. You're in a lonely, dark place, if I could call it that. Rehab is just lonely. It's dark. It's you having to work with your emotions and your injury, but it's constantly reassuring yourself that you're on the right track, and also just trusting your body. I had to trust that I could walk again. My leg was stable enough, and the surgeon had done a good job for me to be able to walk again.
When you look at your career, on the Astro, what would you say is your greatest achievement?
My greatest achievement is probably the two Olympic Games, but I think the Commonwealth Games as well. We got so close to a medal in the Commonwealth Games, and I really played well. It was one of those tournaments where you're quite satisfied with yourself and how you played. So that was the 2010 Commonwealth Games in Delhi. Yes, I've got the other ones, the milestones, playing 112 caps, but to be able to add the value I did in that tournament to the team was pretty special.
Yeah, Sanani, I mean, I think you were finding similarities, to when, of course, you had that injury and you almost felt like a fish out of water. Now, similar thing was happening with your retirement, just trying to navigate this completely different space. And one can imagine that, again, this must have taken a mental toll on you.
As I said, you used to being at the best and you used to knowing everything about your sport. And then you have to navigate this environment where you're having to ask a lot of questions and get help from people. So mentally, you start to doubt yourself, but at the same time, there's people backing you, which is always important. You must realize that you're here for a reason. There's people backing you to do the job, and you'll learn as you go along, but you're also going to be good at what you do.
So when you look at your struggles and trying to adjust, do you think maybe there was some kind of support that you would have liked to just make that process easier?
I think for me, it's all about probably having people who've navigated the space, being able to call them. So it's not so much the resources, more the personnel you can call and say, I'm having this problem. Because a lot of the problems were not, I was equipped with everything in the different companies I worked with. It was literally bouncing ideas off someone. It's being a female in the corporate space. It's understanding what you need to navigate. So if I had people to call, and say, how do I deal with this or how do I tackle that? I think that would be the main thing.
How do you get to that decision to retire when you did? Because like you said, you're still very young. Do you feel that that was the right time to retire?
Definitely. For me, it was the right time. I thought about it quite a bit. You weigh up different pros and cons, Carol. You consult different people. You think, what can I add to the sport? And I think that was my biggest thing is what else do I have to do in the sport? I've got these tournaments. I've done this. I've had years of good hockey, years of 112 caps. What's next?
Tell us what you're up to now, your career choice.
At the moment, I am in the sports marketing world. I have a passion for that. It's really having played the sport, having seen how brands and athletes work together alike. So this has been a passion of mine. So that's what I'm doing at a corporate level.
So you're still involved when it comes to the hockey space. You're still in there.
A little bit involved in terms of the hockey, but I'm more diverse now in terms of athletes. I just think there's so much I can give back to certain athletes across different sports to say, this was my journey. This is a story I can tell you. But how then do you craft your story, your own journey?
Finally, what's on top of your bucket list?
Wow. Carol, this is the most ambitious bucket list I have. But between now and I don't know when, I'd love to take a year off. So how's this? You take a year off, you navigate the globe by sports events. So you would start at the F1 Grand Prix in Australia, which is in Jan, followed by the Australian Open, which is also in Australia around about Jan, Feb. and then you just follow the sports calendar.
I love it. Sanani, you're absolutely unbelievable. A parting shot, because this is our last one, a parting shot, to all those women that have been watching, and everyone else. It's not just the ladies that have been watching, but just everyone that's been tuned in throughout Women's Month. They have been just so inspired by your different journeys and starting to learn new ways of embracing change and of loving change.
I think for me, this Women's Month is all about being, for celebrating each other. I think we've got phenomenal women in South Africa, and I've found space in that we can all coexist while doing good things. So I am a very big champion of celebrating each other and making other women shine.
Wow, we love it. You're definitely a woman that is changing and has changed the game. Keep well.
Thank you, Carol.
It really has been an unbelievable Women's Month. Thank you for celebrating along with Bright Rock and for placing on the pedestal those South African sporting women that are just making us so, so proud and really drawing inspiration from their unbelievable journey. So remember a lot of the lessons that they imparted, and as always, play the bounce, play the moment, love change.